without further ado, because Blessing is here and we love her. We're so excited to introduce you to her. Let's grab Blessing. And I guess the other thing I was gonna say, super casual this morning. So you're gonna probably see us in between each of these speakers, sipping some coffee. Yeah. Maybe we have our shoes off. This is exactly what we want you to see. So hang on, let me grab Blessing for everyone. Here she comes. I see her coming in. I'm so excited.
Come on. Yes.
Yay. We can.
Can you see me okay?
There we go. Yes, we can see you.
Okay. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Definitely.
Is it loud enough?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I want to make sure we get audio here going. How's everyone doing? Hi, Lativa. I see so many people joining. Thank you for joining us this morning.
So glad that you're here. Well, Blessing, we're going to get off this split screen and let you do your thing. And we will be right here in the background if you need anything.
All right. How many minutes do I have? When do I need to wrap up? That helps.
You've got until 9:35.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Good morning, wherever you're joining us from, whether that is United States, other parts of the world. I wish I was in India. I mean, that just looks so beautiful. And thank you so much, Janine, for all the amazing work that you do at theCityMoms. I am such a fan. And I think, one of the things that I love the most when it comes to motherhood is the fact that community is so key. And I see that all over, whether it's social media or even within our communities, how women are coming together to support each other and just be there for each other. And it's so, so important, especially in the pandemic, when we were all, sort of behind closed doors and we didn't have that support system. And you can see what happens when the support system is missing, when the village is missing. It tends to affect us mentally, physically, and emotionally. So thank you, the theCityMoms, for putting this wonderful summit together. So today I want to talk to you all about flourishing. It's something that is near and dear to my heart, especially as a mother of four. So I have 4 kids. Tayo is 13. They come in 4. And Darren is 2.5, and I have a 7-month-old. So I am like in the thick of things. And it's so funny because a lot of people ask me, oh my word, how are you doing this? Building a tech and media company, as well as raising 4 kids. And I know a lot of you are in the thick of everything too. You are cooking, cleaning, running errands, raising kids, may or may not have a career going right now. You may be pursuing your career, or you have a business, or you are a working professional. And so how do you actually flourish? How do you flourish at home and in the workplace? And I love to start with data. I'm a chemical engineer. So data is something that is in my way of life. 93% of moms are feeling burned out. And that is a huge number because we're not getting enough sleep, because we are the primary caregiver for our kids, and because we're also the one doing all of the chores. Maybe not all, but 6% of mothers report spending 5 hours a day on childcare duties, household management. They are the one, grabbing groceries and cleaning and, making sure that, the mustard is replaced, right? And if they cut cable, they're the ones that, right? Like, oh my word, whether it's Comcast or Xfinity is down today. And so mom is the one trying to figure out, is there any way for me to make sure that the kids are occupied in a way that makes sense? So you can already see there where a lot of the reasons why women are not flourishing is because we are doing too much. I like to start with the definition of flourishing, right? What is really the definition of flourishing? Flourishing means that you are living your life with vigor and vitality. It means that you are bringing your full self to work, to your family, to your home. And when you're not sleeping, when we are burned out, when we're stressed and disengaged, it means that we're not flourishing. And, when I share this, I like to remind a lot of people, you're not doing anything wrong. There's nothing you're doing wrong. You're doing everything you're supposed to do as a mother. I think we need to get that out of the way. But one thing is missing, right? We're missing a lot of support from our society. The society is not doing a good job of understanding and supporting mothers. The workplace is not doing a good job of understanding what women and families truly need, because they forget that if we don't have a successful home, we can't exactly have a successful career. And then a lot of our partners, God bless their hearts, some of them are not helping as much they should. And I'm using the word helping here in quotes, because that's what we all say is, whoa, my partner helped a little bit last night by, putting the kids to bed. And one of the things that I always say is, we need to start from the grassroots, right? We need to start from the early stages. What is it about our workplace that is not providing with their full parental leave, so that they are bonding with our kids at the very beginning, right? So they are sort of in tune with what is required to run the household, what is required to support their families. And so these are the issues, these are the reasons why women like you and I feel burnt out, feel unsupported. 34% of mothers report feeling frustrated about combining work and family because it's so hard. And I actually, when I was in corporate America, and I have 15 years of experience in corporate America, my background is in chemical engineering. And I remember when I was in corporate America, how hard and how tough it was, waking up early to make sure that the morning grind is done, right? What is the morning grind? You're cooking, you're cleaning, you're packing lunch boxes, you are, grabbing something for breakfast. The kids need to eat and they need to brush their teeth and change into their clothes. You have to grab the baby into the car seat. There's a lot of things, repetitive demands that is required of you on the home front. So I was doing this every morning and then commuting to work. And then when I get to work, I'm already exhausted because I already just completed a day worth of work. And then I walk again for the next hours uninterrupted. And then I go home and it's another shift. So it's actually 3 shifts, right? If we really, actually count, kind of what women are doing. And so if you're feeling burnt out, if you're feeling exhausted and stressed, I want you to know that it's not by your doing. You're doing everything that you need to do. And so how do we move you from this space of languishing? I call it languishing, right? Because you are not exactly depressed, right? Maybe not, but we don't, we're not psychologists, we're not doctors, so we can't exactly, diagnose you with a condition. But you're sort of in this state where you may feel like, whoa, I'm not thriving, I'm not flourishing. I'm being pulled in multiple directions. I spoke with a mom yesterday and she said, I just don't have the time to work. And I really want to work, but in between the baby crying and the toddler that needs something and, the partner that forgot, to order, the pizza that we're told to order. Now I have to stop everything that I'm doing to go ahead and do that. I am feeling stressed. I am feeling burned out. So one of the things that one of the challenges I think of modern motherhood today is just that we're all doing too much. I don't know. Please, one of the things I also want to, make sure that we're all doing, please in the chat, tell me how many kids you have. Tell me what challenges you're facing at home, challenges that you're facing at work, because that will also help. I want this to be very interactive. I don't want to just speak to a void, because I also want to just touch on some of the things that you in particular are going through or are feeling, and how do we actually start going from that space of languishing to flourishing, whether it's at home or in the workplace. So if you just want to drop that in the chat, that would be really amazing. I would really appreciate that. Tell me how many kids you have if you're joining from Minneapolis or Indianapolis, or I am actually right now out of the country. So so I'm joining from outside of the United States. So back to flourishing. How do we flourish? How do we go from languishing to flourishing? And how do we ensure that we are in a place where we are bringing our whole self and our full self to the table, and that we as mothers have everything that we need, right, to take care of ourselves, to be ourselves. I remember when, with Mother Honestly, when we first started, I had my second child. Hi, Stacy. Thanks for joining. 2 kids, Charlotte, North Carolina, I struggle with not saying yes to everything and then being overwhelmed. Absolutely. It's the same thing. I used to be a people pleaser. Guys, it was so bad. I would say yes to everything. Yes, you want to collaborate with Mother Honestly? Yes. And oh, by the way, I was still working full time, in corporate America. And so I was saying yes to a lot of things and I burned out. I burned out very badly, to a point where I thought about not doing anything for the next, I literally wrote it down, do nothing for 3 years. Of course, it didn't take that long to recover, but just to show you that sometimes when we say yes to a lot of things, we are opening ourselves up, for this what I call this languishing, right? We kind of create this path to a place where our mental health takes a nosedive because we're saying yes to so much. Thank you, Tiffany, for joining. A 3-year-old next to me eating breakfast. I love it. I love it. Indianapolis. Looks like we have a lot of Indianapolis mamas here, 3 kids. So I'm excited about that. Hi, Blessing, 2 kids in Hawaii. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you for joining. And so for me, what is next, right? What is next for mothers right now? Because we live in a society that expects so much of us. We live in a society that doesn't exactly support us. And, we are taking care of our kids. We're taking care of our partners. We have challenges at work, whether it's this inability to, to sort of to get that paid leave or that flexible work that we need and that mental and physical support that we need. There's a lot of challenges that have presented themselves before the pandemic and is now evident or worse during and after the pandemic. And so how do we as mothers protect our well-being? I think that's the biggest thing for me, because if I want to go from languishing to flourishing, how do I protect myself? How do I identify this burnout? And then what are the strategies that I need to support my mental health? So I want to share with you all some of the things that happened to me, because a lot of what women are feeling, it's the same things, right? It's not like you're not unique. You're not imagining your burnout. It's happening to everyone. I'm burning out, you're stressed, you're exhausted. But how do we identify these things? How do we know that we're languishing? Mental and physical exhaustion. You're neglecting your personal needs or your personal care, right? When you stop taking care of yourself, you're withdrawing from a lot of things that bring you joy before. And now they just don't bring you as much joy. That could be a partner, that could be your kids, that could be, your job. You're withdrawing from those things because you're burned out, because you're tired, because you're exhausted. Maybe there's some behavioral changes. Maybe you feel empty. Maybe you feel, maybe you're curtailing, at work, right? I remember when I started feeling burned out, I started reducing the number of things I was doing at work. And I felt depressed. I lacked focus. I had trouble sleeping. I felt like I was drowning. And I had a short temper, y'all. I was just flaring at everything. My husband says this, I'm like, no. You need to just, keep it together, because I'm not having this conversation. So I was very snappy, very short-tempered. And I even started pushing myself to work harder on a lot of things. So even though I was lacking that focus, I just kept, oh my God, I need to do this, I need to do that. I also was spending a lot of times on things that I shouldn't be spending time on, right? Like social media. I love social media. I built Mother Honestly on social media. But one of the biggest things was, just spending hours on TikTok and Instagram and just scrolling, from morning till evening. And that was because I was burning out and I didn't know these things. I used to think that, burnout, when I start burning out, I would know that I could feel and see these things. But at the time, I couldn't tell that these were signs of burnout. So if you want to just share in the comment, what are some of the symptoms of burnout you are feeling, whether it's at this time or maybe in the past, in the near past, right? Whether it's a couple of weeks ago, are there any signs of burnout that you're feeling? And if so, if you can you share that? I see Brittany from Indianapolis. I have a 3-year-old and twin 1-year-olds. Oh my word, girlfriend, hats off to you. For me, I am doing well with my career, but seem to put my marriage on the back burner. I this is it. That one is a tough one for everyone. I have 4 kids, so I feel like it's all about the kids, right? It's all about making time for them, breakfast, lunch, dinner, play dates, arranging all of that, and then no time, right, for my partner. One of the things that I did was really to put things on the calendar. My husband and I, he's an engineer and I am an engineer. So we're very number focused, data driven. And so we said, okay, what is it going to take, right, to put ourselves on the calendar, put ourselves on the to-do list. So we started putting, every 2 weeks we had date nights. And thank God, things have reopened a little bit lately. So I think that's something that, could be a potential opportunity for you to put yourself on the calendar, put yourself on the to-do list. I shared something in a Fast Company article, and it was about putting your family second. Oh my God. When I shared that, when I typed that, I thought, everyone would come for me. And that was because I had to put myself first on the to-do list. And so what will make me happy, right? The things that will make me happy is spending time with my partner, spending time with, with my career. Yes, I love my kids, but I also need to make time for myself. Whether that is getting my hair done, getting my nails done, relaxing a little bit. I know self-care, as good, self-care is sort of another buzzword, right, lately. But one of the things that I have seen is really there's no substitute. There's no substitute for taking care of yourself. If you don't put yourself first, if your mental, physical, and emotional well-being is not first on that list, nothing else will get your full attention. They will get a half-baked, half, half well-being blessing, right? It's basically they get half of me because I'm not putting myself first. So I would strongly suggest that for you, Brittany, put it on the calendar. If it's important to you, put yourself on the calendar and say, hey, I'm gonna get, at least every other weekend, spend 2-3 hours, whether that is finding a babysitter or a family member that lives in Indiana. Chat them up, see if they can give you 2 to 3 hours of their time. I know it's so hard with tweens to do that. A lot of people with 3-year-olds. Alexandrina, thank you for joining. 2 kids, professional, medical, personal, educational scheduling. I feel your girlfriend. Elizabeth, 5-year-old and 3-year-old, signing in from vacation in Florida. Thank you for joining us. So important to make time for things that fill our cup. Those are some of the ways that I got myself out of burnout. I started seeking other women. We really and do thrive in community with each other. That is something that I make time for. My friends know me. I am the brunch girlfriend. I will take you out to brunch. I will chat over pancakes and waffles because that fills my cup. That relationship, that conversation with an adult, right? Not with toddlers and babies in my house. That really does fill my cup because I want to know what's going on with them personally and professionally. And that helps me to, whoa, if they're doing all of these things, can I try this out or try that out? Believe it. Women, we thrive in community. And that is something that I have prioritized as a mother. It's hard to be excited about things when I'm burned out. I agree. And that's one of the reasons why we need to take our time to do that work. Recognizing the symptoms of burnout, recognizing that we are not alone, that we're not burning out because we did anything wrong. We are burned out because we're not being supported. And so what does support look like? How can I access that support? Could it be that I, chat with my manager about, working remotely for a few hours during the week? Could it be that I connect with, a neighbor who has a child of similar ages with my child? And, we can come up with a caregiving schedule. I have a child care plan. And that child care plan involves my parents, my families. It involves my nanny, babysitters, neighbors, people that can actually help and support me. A lot of time, and this has nothing to do with, I want to say maybe it's cultural as well, right? Where we don't want to accept or we don't want to ask for help because we feel or believe that other people also need help, right? So I encourage women a lot of time to ask for help, ask for support within your community and see if you can swap things around with friends. Burnout for me is anxiety attacks and zoning out, escapism. I feel you, Tiffany. I always, I truly believe that as women, you know, at some point in our lives, we're going to experience this anxiety around, whether it's our kids, whether it's financially. There's a lot of anxiety around so many different things. And I tell people there's no escaping it. We need to face it. We need to face it. We need to understand that there's a reason why you're feeling this way. And so how can we get out of that? So whether that is, again, maybe even getting therapy. I have been there. I tell people, please, if you feel like you need therapy and you can afford it, go for it, because it's so important that you feel whole. If you don't feel whole, there's no way you're going to flourish. And it's only when you flourish that your children, your work, everything gets the best of you. Everything. When I'm burning out, I don't feel motivated to do my routines that take care of my mental and physical health. I also notice that I'm not looking forward to anything when it starts to hit. Same thing. The mama has to come first. If you don't come first, if you don't put yourself first, everything else may end up falling out of line. I see Kira. Kira has been working from home full time since March 2020. Daughter is 18 months and now she's 3.5. She's home with me most of the time. Thanks for joining us. Wow, so many amazing moms within the community today. Thank you for joining us. Jackie here in Sheridan, Indianapolis, 5-year-old and 3-year-old, and you're 2 years and you've never met coworkers in person. And these are the challenges that we're facing as women. It's a different kind of world out there. This post-pandemic future of work, we need to prepare ourselves for it. We need to, think about what are the things that are non-negotiable for me, and communicating those boundaries at work and at home. Communicating that boundary with your partner. How can you support me? My husband and I, we have, just daily touch bases, whether it's 5 or 10 minutes after the kids are in bed, to say, hey, what went well? What can we do better tomorrow? Who is doing what and when and how? So that we are all in the same cadence. We are achieving what is essential for our family together. It's the same thing with the workplace, having these conversations with our employers and saying, this is what it's going to take. Let me give you a secret, y'all. One of the biggest things happening right now is that employers don't want to lose you. They don't want to lose anyone. You are valuable to the workplace, and you need to channel that power and demand for a better quality of life. Whether that is, whoa, I can only work X amount of hours per day, and I'm going to take a break here, and I will have that project ready within a week or 2 weeks. Demanding that and saying, I want to be there. I want to be present for my family. I want to be present for my kids. I want to take my kids to the soccer game. I don't want anybody else to do that. So demanding that better quality of life, whether it's support with breastfeeding, whether it's support with childcare. A lot of companies are now offering stipends to their employees. So thinking about what are the things that I need to thrive? What are the things that I need to flourish in the workplace? Write a list and take that to your manager and say, is there anything here that we can come together, agree on? I call it the individual work-life plan, because I truly believe that our work and our life are now integrated. If you're expecting me to work from home, then you need to support me at home. If you're expecting me to, to do X, Y, this many projects, then how are you going to support me with my childcare responsibilities? How are you going to support me with my household responsibilities? And I think a lot of this is because a lot of women don't even understand that we can ask for these things. So I have 2 more minutes, so I'll take any questions, and you can throw that in the comment section or in the chat section. I'll take any questions. But while I wait for questions, I want to just read a comment from Katie. Katie has 2 kids, the primary breadwinner. You have the ability to work from home, and so I have also become the primary parent. Oh my word! When kids are sick. 2022 has been a struggle for us on that front. We have only had 3 weeks of both kids in daycare, and that's the thing that fully reflects, what is happening out there. How can we do that? Somebody said, tell me more about the check-ins and what it looked like. It's 5 to 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. Don't make it long because you don't want things that, things to start creeping in, but put it on, have a conversation that let's check in 5 to 10 minutes. One of the things that we discuss is, hey, how are the kids, who did what, when, who has a play date tomorrow, who is, what are we, who is packing, we already know who is packing lunch, who is doing X, Y, and Z, but really just checking in, because a lot of time, and I'm going to encourage you to pick up a book called Fair Play. Please pick it up, Fair Play and Unicorn Space. It's by my wonderful friend, Eve Rodsky. And one of the things she talks about is having these conversations when emotion cognitive high. A lot of time you want to give your spouse or your partner feedback, right? Immediately they did something wrong. Oh, you didn't pack the lunch and that's why John was late for X, Y, and Z. Let's wait until the check-in time, right? So a lot of things happen throughout the day and I'm just like, we're going to check in, right? There's no need stressing ourselves out. When we check in, whoa, I didn't, I would have loved that you packed that lunch the night before. That way I could do drop off, a little bit earlier than I did today because the kids were late. And that is checking in when emotion is low and cognition is high. That person is more receptive. They are understanding of exactly what you need at that time. So that's what our check-in looked like. Thank you so much, Dr. Clara, for asking that. And start time is in 5. Okay, I don't know if I'm late or not, but it's 9:36 Eastern time. Could you put the book mentioned in the chat? Absolutely, I will do that. So this is Fair Play by Eve Rodsky. Fair Play and Unicorn Space. Eve Rodsky. And she has a lot of great things around how do you manage your household responsibilities as parents, as women, as men. So that's a very good book for us to pick up if we don't already have that in our Audible or Amazon books. All right, thank you, Janine. I hope you enjoyed that.
I just looked at Kira and I wrote this down. Emotion is low, cognition is high. I was like, oh, that's like the most incredible thing I think I've heard.
Yeah,
forever.
Exactly.
That totally, I was just like, that is so true. That is so true.
And I like the strategy of giving the affirmation and then it's like the check-in and then maybe at the ask too.
Yeah.
And it's something that I picked up and it has reduced the nagging, because we as women, we are just like, oh my God, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. But when you know that, we will check in. And when we check in, we will be able to reflect on what was done properly and what was done wrong. And then we correct ourselves. And I find that it's amazing as well for everything else, for finances, for, how do we redistribute the labor at home, right? Because if you come in and you're tired of checking, you're like exhausted because you've been the only one doing everything. You can then be like, oh my word, I would have loved to be supported today, because I did drop off, pick up, and this and that. And, how else can you contribute to our household, to our family? How else can you show up for us? Having that conversation in a way that you're not placing blame, you're basically saying, how can we together make this family work?
Gosh. Yeah. Blessing, we cannot thank you enough for being our keynote speaker this morning. We will definitely make sure that we get Eve's books linked out too when we send out the recording. I read Fair Play because of you, and that has been a really monumental support for our family. So that's such a great recommendation. We cannot thank you enough and hope that wherever you are right now that you get some rest, because you are probably the hardest working mama that we know.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And I will hang around as well, but thank you for having me.
Okay.
Thank
I'm
you.
so excited you're here. We'll see you soon.